We are staying up after dark with an explosive showbiz countdown as we reveal the top 3 reasons why Jodi Arias may have snapped and killed her boyfriend Travis Alexander by shooting him and then stabbing him 29 times. And let me tell you, it's not what you might think. With me tonight, Sharon Martin. Sharon is the host of Snapped. It's the hit show on Oxygen that profiles the fascinating cases of women who are accused of murder. And Beth Karras is at the site of the Arias trial in Phoenix, where she has been covering it for HLN's After Dark and for In Session. And ladies, we kick off our countdown. The number 3 reason why Jodi may have snapped: she thought Travis was cheating on her. Jodi explaining on the witness stand why she thought that.
He was taking a nap one day and he left his phone wedged between 2 cushions in the couch in the living room. And he was in another bedroom sleeping, and I figured, I didn't know if he was being honest with me. I had a feeling he wasn't. I snatched it and I went into the bathroom and I shut the door, and I was clicking around on his phone. He had a touch screen. It was a smartphone. I didn't really know how to use it, but I found the text messages and began to read them.
And without telling us what they said, it was based on those text messages in Mr. Alexander's phone that you believed he was not being faithful with you.
Yes.
Not being faithful. All right, Sharon, so does it seem plausible to you that Travis cheating on her might have been one of the reasons she snapped, if in fact she did?
It very well could be. I mean, what we've seen with women, any small factor or large factor, it just depends on the woman, could very well cause her to snap. If she was building to something and this was the thing that set her off, it's a complete possibility that infidelity would do it. Well,
the Showbiz Newsline may give us some clues by looking at the history of their relationship. We flash you back to September of 2006. This is when Jodi and Travis met at a legal convention in Las Vegas. It was in November when she converted to Travis's faith and she became a Mormon. February 2007, their relationship becomes sexual. Now that's a problem for 2 devout unmarried Mormons. And 4 months later, Jodi suspects Travis is cheating on her. Beth, you've been there every day. What do you think? Could that be one of the reasons Jodi may have snapped?
Yes, I think it's probably the primary reason that she ultimately snapped, but then, according to the state, premeditated this, that she made the final decision. And what you just played of her on the stand, that's when she got the evidence she suspected and then broke up with him a few months later. They officially ended their long-distance boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, and it's after that she moved to Mesa, Arizona, and they continued to have really a clandestine relationship that ended up in her killing him the following year.
Well, Showbiz Tonight can tell you it wasn't just Jodi suspecting that Travis was cheating on her that may have made her snap. This brings us to number 2 on our Showbiz Countdown. It's Jodi's claim that Travis abused her. Now, of course, she told a very scary story about Travis's supposed violent streak during her trial. Let's watch.
How can you call me selfish? I just lent you $700. And when I said that, he got angry and he crossed the room and he started shaking me and he said, "I'm sick of you." And he was screaming it real loud and some of his spit got in my face. And I mean, he wasn't spitting on me, but as he was talking. And he body slammed me on the floor at the foot of his bed. So it startled me, and then the impact and the sound came out. And I think he misinterpreted because he said, "Don't act like that hurts." Called me a bitch, and he kicked me in the ribs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, every time we hear that, the picture that she paints is a very scary one, but so many people do think that Jodi is simply playing the "I was abused" card as an excuse for killing Travis. Of course, she's not denying that she killed him, but she does claim it wasn't self-defense. Now, Sharon, based on the stories that we've seen on your Oxygen show, Snapped, can abuse like the type that Jodi claims actually be enough to cause her or someone to snap?
Absolutely. I think, honestly, abuse is the most common reason we see women snap. Especially someone who has done so many things to sort of mold her life to fit his. She joined his religion, then she violated that religion for him to keep him happy, and then he's abusive to her. If all of that is true, then absolutely, that could very well be the thing that pushes her over the edge and sort of creates this momentum in her. And then keep in mind, too, this is a woman whose own parents say she's mentally unstable.
Right.
So that's another factor you have to put in there.
Yeah, and there's one thing that nags at me, and I think so many people, about this case. It has to do with Jodi's own mother telling investigators that she believed Jodi had these mental problems. Watch this.
Jodi has mental problems. Jodi would freak out all the time, and she would call me in the morning all happy and call me an hour or two later in tears, crying and sobbing about something she didn't want to talk about. And that happened constantly. And her friends saw it too, and I had one friend call me in the middle of the night, and he even called a hotline for bipolar people. Said Jodi's bipolar and she needs help, and that's why we talked her into coming back up here so she could be around family.
Wow. And Beth, to Sharon's point, her own mother saying Jodi had mental problems. You pair that with these allegations of abuse, a recipe for someone to snap in your eyes?
Yes, but that is not the strategy the defense is using in this case. We often know more than the jury knows, and the jury doesn't know this. They don't know what Jodi Arias, her mother, has to say about Jodi being mentally unstable. Jodi herself said, she had contemplated suicide, but no therapist who testified on her behalf has made any sort of diagnosis of even a personality disorder, let alone more severe mental illness.
Well, from those abuse claims to number one on our Showbiz Countdown of reasons why Jodi Arias may have snapped, Jodi apparently not being able to move on after breaking up with Travis. Now, Travis's friend, Mimi Hall, who discovered Travis dead in his apartment, testified that Travis told her someone was stalking him, and he, of course, thought it was Jodi.
You indicated that part of what he told you was that this stalker was a female, right?
Yes.
And what had this female done that he was warning you about?
She had
overruled.
She had slashed his tires several times. She had slashed his. He had dated someone earlier that year. She had slashed her tires. She had sent threatening emails to both Travis and his girlfriend of the time. She had followed us on the first date that we went on. She sounded dangerous. She had broken into his email accounts, his bank accounts. She would sneak into his house through the doggy door and sleep on his couch at night without him knowing that she was there.
Well, there you have the testimony, but of course Jodi denies that she was stalking Travis. Sharon, is there a very real connection between women who become obsessed and then snap?
Absolutely. I think part of that is that sort of blending of where they sort of lose that line of reality, and they've become so obsessed with this man and they can't seem to stop themselves, and they stop making logical decisions. I think that's where you end up on this road. I don't think anybody expected her to do something this heinous, but it could certainly see how that would contribute.
And of course, a stalker, I actually looked it up, is defined as someone who pursues, harasses, threatens, and is aggressive. So, Beth, I mean, does this sound like Jodi to you, and perhaps enough to make her snap?
Well, there are all kinds of allegations out there. The jury only knows about some of them, but the defense, interestingly, has kind of opened the door to it. And so now, with a domestic violence expert this week being cross-examined, it is coming up. I mean, the jury is learning a little bit more that Travis Alexander, for example, did fear Jodi Arias and her stalking.
And Beth, proving whether or not Jodi snapped is, of course, critical to her not being sentenced to the death penalty, because if she snapped, there goes her claim of self-defense, right?
Well, if, the jury might believe that she was defending herself, but that, it all happened so quickly, and this overkill was Jodi snapping. She's defending herself, she kills him, but then she keeps stabbing him. And so the jury, if they believe that, they might come back with second-degree murder. It might save her life. They might say, no, she didn't go there. She didn't premeditate this. She didn't plan for a week to kill him. She basically snapped defending herself and then couldn't stop killing him.
Sharon, based on everything that we have heard and seen of Jodi Arias from all of the women you have profiled who have snapped, do you think Jodi did, in fact, snap?
I think it's completely possible. I think it's such a it's such a subjective line. But honestly, as a person, I want to believe that she snapped, because otherwise you have to believe that she did all of this on purpose, which makes her one of the most heinous female killers we've seen in a very, very long time.